Hey guys, it's Hugh Sweeney, and in this video I'm going to share with you my honest thoughts on the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 camera. Having owned it now for just over 2 months. DJI logo, see that? When it comes to these Osmo cameras, I had the very first Osmo back in 2016. Check it out. And I found it very, very good. And I ended up using it a lot on my bike. It featured that golf ball type camera that was similar to what was on the Inspire 1 drone. It was a cool little device, but it had its limitations. So that was the first Osmo. And then came the Osmo Pocket, smaller, more compact versions of those. But to be honest with you, I had absolutely no interest in using those. That ship had sailed and I had seen people use them and they asked me if I wanted to try them and I was like, get away from me with that thing. But a couple of weeks ago I was driving up to do a job and I just put a random video on from Potato Jet and it was about the Osmo Pocket 3 and I knew within the first 30 seconds of listening to Gene that I would end up buying one of these. Now when I ordered it, it made sense to go for the combo deal, which features the little battery grip here thingy, which is handy, the mini tripod, the plastic cover thing here which has the little lens in there as well, the wide angle lens. I'll talk about that in a while. Plus, of course, it has the little extender thing that already comes with it. And one of my favorite little accessories, which is the microphone. And I'll talk about that soon as well, because I quite like this. And all that stuff comes in this little pouch here. So I got a good deal. All that cost me about 570 euros after VAT. When I took it out first, I couldn't really use it because the weather was so bad. And I ended up just firing it up in a cafe and just taking some images and stuff with it. And I noticed that the images were quite nice. They were better than my mobile phone images. Now I do use the iPhone 12, so I don't know how it compares to the new iPhone, but I just quite liked the images out of it. And you could see that it had a shallower depth of field. And I liked the footage as well. You could just tell that the footage was a bit better than you would associate with these devices. So when I did get a chance to film with this, I fired it up in manual mode. We don't want to be relying on auto exposure all the time. We don't do that with our mirrorless cameras, so why would we want to do it with something like this? So I just found that the exposure was kind of hard to keep on point. I was in a wooded area and I was going in and out between trees and I just noticed that my face was getting very underexposed looking, and then it was a little bit overexposed, and I had no way of kind of dialing it in as I went. Okay, so you can't beat a little bit of user experience. I've just realized that if I swipe in while I'm recording, I have a nice little accessible slider here on the right hand side which will let me, you know, go up and down in terms of exposure. Now there's no histogram, there's no clipping indication really. I should have figured this out before I'm doing a review. Now if you do want to shoot manually on the Osmo Pocket 3 and you're outside, you're going to want to get a set of ND filters, and believe it or not, Freewell were kind enough to send me this lovely big case of ND filters. When companies are making ND filters, there seems to be a tendency to make them very, very strong. And believe it or not, out of all these NDs, I found myself just using one, which is the lightest one, which is an ND8. That's the lightest one. Now there is a CPL in there, which is a circular polarizing filter, and that kind of drops the light a little bit. So Freewell, if you're making more filters, please don't make them all so strong. Some of them are like our ND256. What am I filming on the surface of the sun? They're like little mini welder's helmets for action men. But still, these are great. Check them out. Thanks, Freewell. The focusing on the Osmo Pocket 3 has been quite satisfying. It's just really good at focusing in. The product feature focus is quite nice on this. You know, you can use it to actually just hold something up to the camera. The shallow depth of field is something that I've found myself quite liking as well. Some people say it's a little bit artificial looking, but I have liked the depth of field. I found it something that I've enjoyed using. Now you can't adjust the f-stop on this camera, it's fixed, but that's the same as most action cameras and it's the same as certain drones as well. You know, it does make for nicer shots, having that slightly shallower depth of field available. I really like this, you know, the screen. It feels lovely just to flick it out like that. And it's instant. You can set it to start recording straight away. I kind of switched that off because it began to annoy me. Using the device without the actual battery extension, it almost looks like a little lady shave, doesn't it? It's too small to get your thumb onto the little joystick there. In fact, this thing would be nice with some sort of a button on the back here for your index finger. I think a dial would work somewhere. Now you can of course connect this little guy. It's going to cover the USB connection and it's going to give you that little 1/8" connection at the bottom. That size is quite nice to use. I find it's sort of hard to know sometimes where the camera is pointing because it's so black and neatly finished, for the want of a better explanation. Sometimes you kind of look and go, oh, which way is the camera going? It's kind of hard to just grab this camera and instantly point it to where you want it. But I guess that is the price you pay for using a gimbal, and that's what it's all about really. It's a gimbal at the end of the day. Now, since I got the Osmo 3, I found myself just shooting in tilt-locked mode, which is basically the smoothest possible setting for footage. Now, you can use FPV or follow mode, which are more responsive movements that will still smoothen out the footage somewhat, but will react to your own movements more naturally. So perhaps these gimbal modes are better for shooting certain scenarios like vlogs. Now it also has this thing called selfie flip, which flips things around to reflect the image as it faces you. But what it does is it actually bakes the reflection into the file. So if you turn the camera around, it does this jarring thing where it actually reflects the image. And I don't know why it would want to do that or why anybody would need that, but it's, you know, a feature there if somebody wants to use it, but I just don't know why. This is very plastic, this battery handle, and it connects here with two clasps into the USB-C there. It's not a very satisfying connection. You just have to double check it. So it's a pity really, because it means that if you mount this here at the bottom screw, it's not a very secure way of mounting it. Now you can buy a little cage that goes around the middle and it'll give you a nice secure GoPro style mount. Yeah, I mean, if you're in your car, it's going to be fine and all that, but I wouldn't like to mount it here under situations where it's going to be getting rattles like that, because I can feel the whole device there shaking at that point. Now, another thing I noticed about these cameras, especially when they're so light, so compact, you'll notice that the horizon in the background stays fairly stable, smooth, but you're the one that's hopping around. And that's because the background is a lot further away than the foreground, which is you essentially. You are going to notice a lot of hand movement. If you're walking out and about, it tends to bob quite a lot. And what happens is with these little gimbals, and indeed with any gimbal, you'll even actually see it in movies at times. The closer something is to the gimbal and the camera on the gimbal, the more you will see it, you know, move about like that. So if you want to eliminate that bobbing, that sort of movement that you get from walking or running, it's a good idea then to use something like this on a craft of some sort, such as a bike, a skateboard, rollerblades, hoverboards, surfboards, well, maybe not. And just generally stuff like that where you don't have to actually kind of move. Now, I use this on the bike, and I will say that if you're a cyclist and looking to do videos about your cycling and stuff, I think this would be a great little camera to have. So I'm out today on my bike. Luckily this Gore-Tex jacket here is keeping the top half dry. Obviously it's going to give you the gimbal, the steady shot. So I think this is great for stuff like, you know, just stopping the recording there, for cycling and the likes. Now this has a 1-inch sensor. Now don't be fooled by that. A 1-inch sensor is actually 13.2 millimeters by 8.8 millimeters. In fact, it's closer to 1/4 of an inch than an actual inch, but it's still a much bigger sensor than you would have in traditional action cams like GoPros and Osmo Actions. So it's a relatively big sensor, which is great to have. A lot of people are talking about the low light capabilities of the Osmo Pocket 3 as if it's the best thing since sliced bread when it comes to low light shooting. Low light? I brought this with me on a few little walks and a few little trips, very casual type of content. Look, it's not amazing. I still think, you know, your mirrorless camera is probably going to get you better results. But for a little device like this, I noticed it was so much better than what my phone would get me. It looks like it's kind of lit a little bit, and that's actually the screen lighting my face. That's how dark it is, that the screen is taken over and you can see my face. I mean, the sky looks lit up, but it's pretty dark now, almost pitch dark. It gives it this little grainy texture, which is sort of okay and understandable. Now, I've heard some people say that the angle of the lens in the Osmo Pocket 3 isn't that wide, but it realistically is. I mean, look how small I appear when I hold out my hand, and you're going to want to hold out your hand like that when you're vlogging. You're not going to be like this. It is a perfect angle really for most stuff. And then when you get the wide angle accessory, which comes with the combo pack, it'll widen it a little bit more, but it's very subtle. It's only a very slight bit. It's not like an iPhone creating a whole different look. It's actually very slight. And the wide angle works quite well. You would think that maybe there's a little bit of loss of image quality, but it seems to be pretty good. Now, unfortunately, you can't add on another layer of ND or anything like that on top of the wide angle. So it means that if you're outside, you want to shoot wide angle, you're kind of stuck with just that. You know, I'm sure a third party will make a wide angle that has an inbuilt ND filter there. So yeah, pretty cool. Now, probably my favorite part of the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 is this little fella here. This is the microphone.
Hi, you.
It connects absolutely instantly, which is fantastic. And even if you're recording with the device itself and you haven't got the mic switched on and you switch on the mic, it'll connect straight away. If I switch it on, right? So this will just transmit straight away. So now you'll have, right? And you can see here, you get this message coming up on the screen saying that the mic is connected. Now you also get this message. I don't know if you can see that. You get this yellow message a lot, which says gimbal endpoints reached, meaning that you're just twisting it a little bit beyond where the gimbal can follow. Now that is constantly showing up on the screen, and that's one little thing that sort of annoys me. Oh man, it's getting cold here. Now, I did see some people talking about the quality of the sound on social media, saying that they were hoping the sound would be a little bit better, but I honestly feel that the quality of the sound from this is adequate, and it's kind of on par, to be honest with you, with what the device itself films. So here on my right is the sound from my trusty Rode Go 2 wireless system, which is piped straight into the mini jack of the Canon R5C. Now on this side we have the audio coming from the DJI mic that is transmitted into the Osmo Pocket 3. So how do you think the audio compares in both devices? I'm assuming the Rode will be a little bit better, but is there that much difference? I mean, could you tell? What if I apply voice isolation to? Would that make much of a difference? I don't know. And it, as I said, it just connects instantly, and it's 32-bit floating point as well, as far as I know. But since I got this, I haven't had to do any like audio adjustments. It just works, and I love stuff that just works. Now you can also actually just record like that with it. I didn't even know this, but you can use this as a mini little field recorder. If you were out and about and you were shooting with your mirrorless camera and you just wanted to pick up on location sound, say if you walked maybe 30 or 40 meters away, you could just bring this with you and use it as a little, almost like a field recorder. So I think this is fantastic. And there's the water down there in this river is about 8 foot deep. And considering the price point, you know, when you get the combo deal, and the battery on it seems to last pretty well. I've kind of just grabbed it without thinking. I just left the house with it without even checking to see if it was charged. It's just a no-brainer, so I love the mic. I think it's great. I'm on slick tires now, trying to get up a mucky embankment. So what's going to happen is it's going to spin out in a second. Yeah, that's it. I was a little bit disappointed with the log, the flatter profile in this. I find it a little bit tricky to grade, to color grade that is. Sometimes I just shot with the normal profile, which I think is pretty good. But yeah, you're going to want to use the log to best effect. So yeah, not overly impressed with that. The codec edit's really nice. I have hard drives that are slow that sometimes I just dump stuff on until I organize my files. And I just tried editing from these slower USB hard drives and it actually edited the footage just fine in DaVinci Resolve. So it's very easy on the edit, the codec, and that was a nice little surprise. Now I will say something, having experience with these DJI devices, be it drones, be it gadgets with smaller camera sensors, you tend to struggle a little bit with dynamic range because it'll get you in the shot, it'll get some of the background in the shot, but it's also going to get a lot of the sky in the shot. If you're in any way sort of against the light, if you don't have the sun coming from the direction of the camera, it means that you're going to get a lot of sort of silhouetted images, a little bit undercooked on your face and in the background, and then the sky, you know, it's just a big white block. Sometimes when your face is in the shot and it's not exposed properly, the image you get out of it, it's just not that nice. Just be mindful of which direction the light is coming and try and shoot from that direction. Now at times the opposite will happen and you'll just get really nice looking images out of this. So in a way, what I've got, like the footage I've got out of this, even though I haven't shot as much as I'd like to, it's a little bit sort of inconsistent.
Now do it.
Shoot.
It's currently shooting in 60 frames per second. 60 frames per second, and this looks as good as the 24. It's a nice 60 frames per second. Now, I did shoot in 120 before I updated the firmware, so I just got the kind of standard color profile, and I thought the 120 looked a bit video-ish. As I was editing this video, I did actually decide to shoot some 120 frames per second footage. So the footage looked great, almost on par with the 24 frames per second. But I ran into some problems with the glass. That is nuts. And there's no cracks around it. It's just a clean hole. I have never seen that in my life. I gotta say that the battery charges really well. I mean, this thing is lightning fast to charge, which is brilliant. And I found that the battery just lasted me well. I never saw this thing run out of battery on me. I'm just going to take a couple of seconds out here from the Osmo Pocket 3 to tell you a little bit about the new lights I have in the background. Well, actually, they're not new lights. They're lights I've been using for about a year, but I have just been sent Fresnel fixtures for these lights now. I haven't got them set up properly. I've just gelled them there with a little bit of green and a little bit of red on two different light models I have from iFootage. So the Fresnel adapters are really handy to have if you want to get creative with cinematography. You don't just want a bare LED, and sometimes you don't even want to use just a light box. You want something with a little bit more control. So it's always nice to have Fresnel lenses. They're available to order on their website, so I'll put some links down below. So do check out those cool new light fixtures. That's what Ryan is saying, crabs can swim. Let's take a video of the crabs. So you can just see here that I'm connected up on the app. Now, the app is very, very handy and it works beautifully, and you can set it manually. So you can see I'm moving it around there and it's quite nice. There's a nice organic movement to the control on the app. I do like the app a little bit, I must say. You can do a tracking as well with the Osmo, in which it'll, you know, face track you and you can move about. There's something about it, it's kind of a nice movement. The gimbal will reach its end point, so it's not going to continuously follow you. Yeah, look, it's going to bottom out at one side. If it's facing the other way, it's going to follow you, you know, the whole direction. So what I'm going to do now is, this evening, I'm going to just download some of the files that I got earlier and see what they're like, and then just shoot a few more clips, and then make the coffee, and then get the TV working. I'm going to get the TV working over here. Now, this hard case has left me with mixed feelings. Whilst it's good and it will let you fit the camera in, I found myself sort of putting it into my pocket without any case, which left me thinking that if you just fit it into like a bag, a kind of a thick neoprene sock, for the want of a better word, might be a little bit nicer, but this is going to help it with falls. So yeah, look, the case is the case. Now, it has a bag as well. This bag will fit all the accessories into it. I mean, it's a nice bag. I haven't really used this bag at all. In most cases, if I'm bringing my Osmo with me on work jobs and stuff, I'll just have it in my camera bag with all the camera gear. Now, speaking of work jobs, can you use the Osmo Pocket 3 on a professional level? That's an interesting question. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I brought this on a few jobs that I was shooting, a few professional jobs, some events, some real estate stuff, and a few other bits and pieces. And I noticed that I kind of didn't give the client the shots from this. Not because I felt it wasn't good enough, but it was because that I kind of got stuff on the R5C, and the R5C looked so nice that I just felt that this didn't get anything that I really kind of wanted to use. There will be instances where this is going to get you great stuff. Like if you're filming from a boat or something and you want to reach out over the waves with an extension rod or something like that, you're going to use this before you're going to use your big mirrorless type camera. But I just noticed that I found myself kind of just using it for my own stuff as opposed to using it for work. As I said, I've got an R5C. Why am I going to shoot on an Osmo Pocket, a device that costs a fraction of the price? It's not going to have the same quality. The Osmo Pocket 3 tends to flare a lot. Maybe the term isn't flaring, more so streaking, but my advice is just do not point this at bright light sources. It's going to look awful. Okay, it's pouring now, so I need to put away the camera. Damn it. So who is the ideal user of the Osmo Pocket 3? Who's this for? Well, I can honestly say that it's aimed at a broad range of people because it kind of captured the hearts of us guys, the filmmakers, even the, dare I say, pro users. But it's also, you know, a device that's aimed at the everyday Joe who wants to get nice shots when they're out and about. I'd even go as far as to say that this is aimed at people who've, you know, no camera experience. It's very user friendly. You know, it's suited mostly towards people who are in some way doing an outdoor activity. As I said earlier on, the cyclist, the hiker, outdoor camping kind of vlogs, anything to do with activity, this is perfect for. And it's good for indoor use as well. That bigger sensor will give you plenty of exposure indoors. So it's not just an outdoor thing, but I think generally speaking, people that will want to capture memories and stuff and just have a convenient little camera that's going to get them nicer quality footage than what their mobile phone will achieve. Now, one of the main reasons I got the Osmo Pocket 3 was with my son Ryan in mind. He's getting a little bit older now and he's taken an interest in my cameras and the gadgets and all the accessories that go with it. And I find that with my son, I don't want to give him my big R5C, but I've no problem letting him hold this. He's quite responsible, in fact. So for me, it's a lovely little thing to bring out and about and just capture these memories. Now, so you're talking.
Can I do it?
I brought the Osmo Pocket 3 with me on a little wildlife photography excursion. When I'm out and about doing this stuff, I like to capture a little bit of footage sometimes. Maybe I might shoot a vlog. I gotta say that the Osmo was great for this kind of stuff. It's just so light and easy to use in comparison to filming this stuff with we'll say, a mirrorless camera. It really captured the spirit of what I was doing. And I'm always bringing it with me. I just noticed that I will throw it into the camera bag, even on work jobs. I'll have it in the car and just kind of, you know, in my jacket pocket, have it with me all the time. So it's a great little piece of kit that way. So I do recommend the Osmo Pocket 3. I hope you liked watching this video and I hope it brought you some sort of knowledge on the device itself. It's a great little piece of kit and I would recommend it. And if you've any questions about this device or anything else, just drop them in the comments below and I will try and get back to you. And guys, I would love it if you subscribe to the channel and check me out on social media as well, on Facebook and Instagram and all that. You can follow me there. And until the next video from myself, Hugh Sweeney, enjoy yourselves, guys. Have a great new year, and I'll chat to you in the next video. And who knows, maybe it'll be shot on the Osmo Pocket 3.